You probably have a collection of self-help books on your shelf, a journal with only 3 pages filled, a meditation app you downloaded but haven't opened in months. Every time you see them, you feel that knot in your stomach. Society calls it finding yourself, as if you're lost keys that need discovering. They say you're having a quarter-life crisis, still figuring things out. The question keeping you up, who even am I? But today, I want to offer a different perspective, one that is kinder and more scientific. It's easy to feel like not knowing who you are is failure, but you possess something the most adaptable people had: cognitive flexibility. The difference between you and someone figured out is not character. It is understanding identity works like software, not hardware. Today, we will dismantle the myth of finding yourself, look at the neuroscience of identity, and offer a framework for those never meant to be one fixed thing. First, we need to understand why finding yourself feels like a trap. For 50 years, self-help culture sold us a story that somewhere inside you is your true self, waiting to be discovered. Psychologists call this the essential self theory. Identity is fixed, discoverable, permanent. But that is not how identity works. Modern neuroscience shows something different. Your sense of self is not a fossil to excavate. It is a narrative constantly being revised. Think about a photograph versus a video. The Find Yourself model treats identity like a photograph, static, but your brain treats identity like a video, constantly updating. In a world rewarding consistency, this creates anxiety. You meet someone certain, and you feel like water, shifting, unable to pin yourself down. The problem is not that self-knowledge is wrong. The problem is treating finding yourself as the destination. It leaves people feeling like failures when your brain is doing what it is designed to do. To understand why you feel so lost, we need to look at how your brain constructs identity. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network. This is the brain network that activates when you think about yourself. Here's what that feels like. When you ask, "Who am I?" your brain searches for patterns. It looks through your memories and behaviors and tries to build a coherent story. Because your brain needs stories. Stories create predictability. Your brain is not searching for truth. It is searching for coherence. But here's the trap. Every time you have an experience that doesn't fit your story, your brain hits an error. You think, "I'm someone who loves alone time." Then you have an incredible night out. Error. You think, "I'm not good with numbers." Then you successfully manage a budget. Error. This is the fork in the road. A rigid person sees these moments as threats. They dismiss the new data. That wasn't really me. But a flexible person sees these as updates. They allow the story to evolve. We call this not knowing yourself, but you are not ignorant. You are in active revision. Psychologists call this identity moratorium, the gap between shedding an old identity and forming a new one. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but that discomfort is not a bug. It is a feature. The real problem is not the revision. The problem is a specific brain region has learned to fear it. This happens in the Anterior Cingulate Cortex. The ACC is your brain's alarm system for identity threats. When you encounter contradicting information, the ACC fires. If you have been told to know yourself and be consistent, your ACC becomes hypersensitive. Every uncertainty feels like an emergency, when actually you are just updating. So how do we work with this? You need to stop thinking in terms of finding and start thinking in terms of authoring. The fixed identity is someone who believes they need to discover who they are. The confused identity is someone who has so much conflicting data, they cannot form any coherent story. This is the trap many of us fall into. You have been so many different versions of yourself in different contexts that you feel like you have no core at all. But there is another approach. The authored identity, or the adaptive self. Maybe at work you are analytical and structured. You lean into logic and systems. That is real. In your creative life, you are intuitive and spontaneous. You follow feeling and experimentation. That is also real. In relationship, you are empathetic and present. You prioritize connection and understanding. That is real too. You are not confused or inconsistent. You are a person who shifts modes based on context. That flexibility is rare. That flexibility is valuable. The tool that allows this is context-dependent identity. A fixed person tries to be the same everywhere, forcing one mode into every situation. But an adaptive person recognizes different environments call for different versions of self. Being analytical at work and emotional with family is not being fake. It is being sophisticated. A musician understands the same note in different keys creates different moods. Your personality works the same way. That is context-dependent identity. The ability to see yourself as a repertoire of possibilities, not a single fixed note. So how do you actually build this authored identity? It requires 3 strategies. The first is pattern recognition over time. You cannot author your identity in a single moment. That just creates paralysis. You must track yourself across contexts, 6 months or a year minimum. Now the question is, what do I track? The anxiety of this stops most people. The secret is to track your energy, not your interests. You are not looking for what you like. You are looking for what energizes or drains you. Focus on 3 questions. When do you feel most alive? When do you feel like you are pretending? When do you lose track of time? Write these moments down. Do not judge them. Just observe. You build data until patterns emerge, until you see your core operating principles. This does not mean having it all figured out. It means identifying your recurring themes. The second strategy is identity experiments. Give yourself permission to try on different versions. Erik Erikson called this psychosocial moratorium, a period to try different roles before committing. Your uncertainty is not weakness. It is a research phase. Take a class in something new. Join a group you would never normally join. Travel alone. The payoff is you collect data about what feels true and what feels forced. You need evidence, not introspection alone. The final piece is an identity document. Because let's be honest, your brain cannot hold all this complexity. When you ask, "Who am I?" your working memory pulls up recent or emotional memories. This creates a distorted picture, like understanding your spending without looking at your bank statement. You need an external system. Write down your core values, not what you wish they were, what your behavior actually reveals. If you say you value adventure but turn down every opportunity, your behavior is telling you something. Write down your context-dependent modes, how you show up at work versus with friends versus alone. Document moments when you felt most yourself, not just happy, but aligned. Over time, these entries become a map, a reference guide you can consult when you feel lost. Now, I need to make space for an important distinction. Some of you might have experienced trauma. If so, your sense of self can feel genuinely fractured. Trying to author your identity without addressing wounds can be harmful. You need therapeutic support, someone trained in rebuilding safety, somatic practices to feel grounded. Please work with a qualified therapist rather than trying this alone. There is one final barrier: comparison culture. Instagram bios declaring who someone is, LinkedIn showing linear paths. Everyone seems figured out, but most people are not more self-aware. They are more committed to one story. Practice narrative skepticism. Stories are curated, edited, simplified. When scrolling during self-doubt, close the app. Clarity often is just confidence, not accuracy. Let's put this together. You are not a lost person who needs finding. You are evolving, learning to author your own story. Your brain is not broken because it changes. It is designed to adapt. This path will not always feel certain. Identity takes years, not days, but having a framework brings relief. Panic fades, replaced by curiosity. Track your energy across contexts. Run identity experiments. Build an external document. Stop comparing your draft to others' published stories. You were never meant to find a fixed self. You were meant to consciously choose who you become. Thanks for watching. I hope this gives you something useful to try. I will see you in the next one.